really cute. Yeah. I'm gonna stand a little more in this.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Thank you, ladies. That was amazing. Wow, to get up early in the morning, be ready to go and sing that beautifully is awe-inspiring. I want to share a 30-second story about the national anthem. So I was in Afghanistan in 2010 to 2011. We would take turns at our base. We would go to the post exchange. We would buy a flag, and we would sign up for a turn to fly the flag. So you could actually get a certificate that your flag was flown over this base at this time on this date. So there was a date, I believe it was March 22nd of 2011. And so this is flying over Tarancot. It was my turn to fly the flag. So I put the flag up in the morning as ordered by military regulations. And so we went to work. Well, crazy enough, right about 1 o'clock in the afternoon, we heard a massive boom, a giant massive boom. And we're working on the air traffic control tower on the middle of a base that has an airport. And this is a little bit off in the distance. So we kind of hunkered down for a minute and then waited for orders of what to do next. We stopped working on the construction project that we were working on, and then we went back to the command center, and we could actually see the fire of what was going on. And what had happened was somebody rode in with a motorcycle into where they parked the fuel trucks. Now, the fuel trucks are cordoned off in an area. The fire was the biggest fire I've ever seen in my life. It was a BLEVE, a boiling liquid expanding vapor explosion. So like a mushroom cloud. I could feel the heat from 1,000 feet away is how hot this fire was. There were 11 fuel trucks. And so when one of them ruptured, it caused the BLEVE. So the boiling liquid expanding vapor explosion. So one thing I noticed was one of our bravest men, and this is, I believe it is at the time, BU-1 Paul Gutowski hopped in one of our water trucks and raced towards the fire to go help the firemen put out, because we figured a whole truck full of water could team up with their fire suppression powder to put out the fire faster. So, when something happens, do we hunker down? Do we assess the situation? Do we link up? Do we communicate? Do we run towards the fire? And I believe BU-1 Gutowski is a hero because he and another team member ran towards the fire with a truck to try to put it out. So now where it gets into the national anthem, that fire burned for about 10 hours into the night. And so it was at sundown, you're supposed to take down the American flag. So about 10 o'clock at night, somebody comes to me, hey, Evange, take down the flag, retreat the colors. And I was like, oh my gosh, in the chaos of what happened that day, we didn't take down the flag. So when we sing the words that our flag was still there, I get choked up almost every time, because I think about being in the middle of a war zone and seeing a light on the red, white, and blue blowing in the breeze, looking up at the flagpole, and our flag was still there. No matter what the enemy tried to do, our flag was still there. So because of divine providence and because of the faithful actions of men and women for 250 plus years, we are still here. The question is, are we going to pass it on to the next generation and make it better and better? So when we sing that song, it means something different to all of us, but I just want to take a moment to share what that song means to me, is that through divine providence, we are still here. I'm going to bring up Bruce Poppy if I can. So Bruce Poppy, being on this tour, and I'm one of the youngest, newest members on it, I'm treated like the little brother. So Bruce is like the middle child brother, and he likes to pick on me a lot and tell some good jokes, and it's all in good humor and good fun. He doesn't beat up on me too bad. But this guy has the best tunes, some of the best jokes, and a great smile, a positive outlook, a great mindset. And, I've learned a lot from him on this tour. So I'm going to pass it over with no further ado, Bruce Poppy.
Grand Rising, everybody, here in Michiganistan. Boy, you guys are on the front lines of all, this thing, with what went on in 2020 and everything going forward here. So if you don't know, my name is Bruce Poppy. I have a show on Rumble, or a channel on Rumble, called Unpopular Viewpoint. God has moved me into this mindset situation. Because I've shared before, but maybe you didn't see it. Several months ago, I became to a point where I was very frustrated. Anybody feel frustrated? Because we were led to believe some things that really, I don't think it was nefarious, or evil in their intent, but there's some things were laid out or interpreted for us to believe that we could just sit on our couch and enjoy our popcorn and watch the movie and not get involved, that they were going to be doing something. But that's just not the case. So I got to this point where I had this level of frustration. I was crying out, what can we do, to get people, activated? What can we do? How can we get through this? That was my ultimate question as I was struggling myself, because I'm just like anybody else, right? I'm just a squirrel trying to get a nut, trying to figure out what we're doing here. So I said, how do we get through this? And the one word came back to me initially, and it was just through connections and getting connected. And it's one of the big things I think that we're doing on not just the Unity Tour, but even the Truth Tours before, is the connections that we make, us, the team, with all of y'all, that we're traveling around different places. And then when we all come, you guys are the local ones here, you should be connecting with each other, right? Connections is how we get through this. So we got to get, getting connected and bringing unity into what we're trying to do, right? Because that's what's so crazy about what's going on in our current situation, is that it is, every single area of our existence is, crashing and burning or being disclosed. We're realizing that things aren't really what we were led to believe and taught and brought up, and to trust these institutions. Because I know, I don't know each individual story here and what you're doing, how you're involved, what you've determined what your purpose and passion is, inside of you, to be able to, put some effort into, saving your city, county, state, nation, republic, planet. I mean, this is a global situation that we're dealing with. Ultimately, it's a spiritual war. We're all aware of that. And so the word connection came to me. The number one connection we need to have is connection to God, source, creator, universe, however you want to put it, right? That's the ultimate source of truth. We have to have that connection, because, on our own power, within our own means, we're pissing in the wind, right? We need to have that. You've heard it, this is biblical. Nothing can stop what is coming. All that stuff is true, but we have a role to play, and each individual person needs to find out what their role is, what your purpose and passion, that fire, that thing that gets you all jacked up and excited, to work, because if you're going to have to do some work, right? That's the bad 4-letter word that most people don't like. we're going to have some skin in the game, right? We have to stop outsourcing our own self-governance. So we have to have that connection to God, number one. Number two, we need to get connected to ourselves. And that's huge. We need to be the change that we want to see in the world. Instead of us pissing and moaning, complaining about whatever government officials or whatever is going outside, let's look inside and start to try to change and be the best humans we can be. I have found my own personal experience is that if I'm the best I can be, happy, positive, motivated, that's not to say that I ignore or the negativity, right? Because you have to acknowledge what's going on. You have to be a realist. We're not pushing out hopium, right? Everything's all going to be fine. But, no, it can get really freaking bad. It probably is going to get a lot worse before it gets better. So we need to get in touch with ourselves, be the change that we want to see in the world. And the third connection is, like I'd mentioned before, getting connected to other people. We need to start to build our tribe, start with your family and expand out your neighborhood, community, county, and start working that. A couple of things I'll just share real quickly that I have personally done where I live in Pinellas County, Florida, is there's two things I think that I've personally done, but one of them is probably the most important action step that anybody can take. Doesn't matter where we've been. I have told this. It's starting, if you're not part of a patriot group of like-minded people that meet on a regular basis, whether it's once a month, every other week, whatever, that's hugely important. Because I share the story of the patriot group that we started in Pinellas, where I live in Florida, Clearwater. Two gals, two moms got bent about what was going on with the kids in the school. So they got together at their house and they were strategizing, what can we do? How can we do? Talked to other people. It grew and grew and grew. Now there our Facebook group that's called Town Hall Patriots. Our Facebook group is over 1,500 people, I believe. They meet twice a month. Each meeting, 200 or 300 people show up. And it's divided into subgroups. There might be a group of people that want to deal with the school board stuff. That's what their passion is. There's some people want to deal with the sheriff or on the medical freedom side, whatever it is, election integrity. So we have all these different subgroups within the main group, and we go and monitor and do and keep an eye on these politicians, because you give them an inch, they'll take a freaking mile. We have to constantly keep an eye on them. So we're making great strides. We've replaced a bunch of good people, put a bunch of good people on school boards, county commission. We're working on trying to get some rhinos out and different things. So we're moving things in a positive direction because of the collective of us coming together and everybody working in their own thing. Then they share notes and we adjust and make plans, and we get access to candidates. So that's huge, is getting a patriot group started, or find one and get involved. So that's one thing I've personally done. The second thing I have done personally down in Pinellas County is the machine, right? The Republican Executive Committee, they call it. The county, you can be a precinct committeeman. You can get involved. Places, and how you do it, call up your county GOP, say, hey, this is my address, I'm in precinct XYZ, is there any positions for committeemen or captains? At different areas call them different, and most of the time you'll find no, there's nobody in that small application. You got to be a registered Republican. That's what I had to change. I had no party affiliation on my voter registration. I did that after the whole Romney and McCain debacle. Had to vote for those guys. I mean, it was either that or Barry and Big Mike. Those are your choices. So yeah, so get involved there. Small application. Go to the meetings. They meet once a month. Hour, 2 hours on a month to go to a meeting. It's very cool. You can get access to candidates, because candidates come in there and they do their pitch and spiel, and you get to have close up time, and you can interrogate them. Hold them accountable, ask them the hard questions. Don't be afraid, to ask them the hard questions, and really kind of That's why the connection to Creator God is so important, because I can talk, my bullshit detector is super sensitive. So usually I can tell. I get this, my intuition is getting better all the time. But with somebody's blowing smoke up my butt, I can usually tell, right? So you can interrogate them that way, and then you can also some people tell me, I don't want to get involved in that. It's a bunch of rhinos. You're not going to make any difference. Blah blah blah. If we have enough, that's why unity, coming together, the numbers. If we have enough people that are America first, type same attitudes, we can push out the rhinos. We have done that to a couple. I mean, it's an uphill battle. I'm not going to lie to you. It's not an easy thing to unseat or push out somebody. So these rhinos, these establishment type peoples that are locked into these positions. But if you just learn a little bit about the Robert's Rules of Order, it's a thick book like this, bunch of legalese, but you can learn a couple of small things. You can get motions. You can get recognized to have the floor and speak and present a motion. Somebody can second that motion, regardless of what the rhino thinks. If you make a motion and you get a second, that forces them to put the vote to the entire group about whatever it is you're bringing forward. Can be a resolution to say, hey, I'm not in favor of XYZ. We promote this candidate, whatever it is. There's all kinds of different things. So you can actually make some progress, because the political system that we currently have, the binary choice that I hate, the GOP, all the power is from the bottom up, right? And that's in anything, the grassroots is key. And that's why unity and coming together and getting our numbers in the local area is so important, because a lot of people are still waiting for it to the top down, right? There's far too many people waiting for Trump. They just think if we can get Trump back in the White House officially, that we're going to wake up and flip a switch and everything's going to be puppy dogs and rainbows. And that's just not the case. We got a lot of work to do. Has to be. I love Lewis at one of our previous stops mentioned that we're the demolition experts, right? We're having to come in. We have to take this thing down before we can rebuild, because I'm sure you probably agree with me. Our current iteration of our political system is irredeemable. We're not going to vote somebody in and then, they're going to fix it. It has to be burnt down, taken down, and then rebuilt the way that I believe our founding fathers had intended, right? Because the stuff that's on the documents, the Declaration of Independence, the Constitution, the Articles of Confederation, the idea behind those things is fantastic. The concepts and the things, that's a living document. It's timeless. But almost from Jump Street, when they created this country, it started to go downhill through greed, corruption. 1871 changed a lot of things. That's less than 100 years after that was signed into existence. So when I got to make a qualification, put a disclaimer. When I say burn it down, I'm talking figuratively. I'm not condoning violence or any type of thing in case the FBI is watching. But that's what we have to do. We got to come together and put aside a lot of the little things that would keep us apart, right? We might not completely agree, and that's one of the beautiful things about the founding fathers. They had all kinds of different ideas. When they were hashing out all this stuff, they nearly came to blows, right? They were arguing, yelling, screaming. There was nearly fist fights when they were putting together these documents of how they wanted to see this idea of America come into fruition, come into being. So we got to have discussions. You're not going to like everybody that you deal with, right? We're not going to agree completely, but that's how we work. We learn different ideas, right? That's one of the if you notice, just look at the history or pull back or recent history, they have demonized and they've made you feel othered. If you have a divergent opinion from somebody, if you don't agree with what I'm saying, then I can't be your friend, right? You got to think like I think or you're a freaking idiot, right? You might be wrong, you might be right, you might be wrong, but we're never going to know until we have these discussions. I wasn't calling you that. But yeah, but that's where we're at. We got to change our mindset from this short-term, hey, so, Trump and the White Hats, the alliance are going to fix everything for us. We're just waiting for, you've seen the meme, stick figure, and he's poking his military there on the ground, poking it, do something, right? Military, do something. They're waiting on us, right? We, the people, have to do the work and have some ownership in what we got going on. I mean, I could talk for hours and hours and hours, but the biggest message I want to give to you today is the fact that that's what our enemy does, right? They have a long, multi-generational, 1,000-year plan that they're working on, and we can't even figure out where we're going to have lunch today. We got to have a long period of time. So come together. Unity is the key. Get behind the 4 pillars. Start doing some work, or if you're doing work, we can do a little more. And speaking of work and starting or being in Patriot groups, I want to bring up a good friend of mine. I think when we were through here in Truth Tour 2, she was a friend of mine. Then she came to the meeting and she got inspired. She started a Patriot group. So I want to have her come and share quickly about what she's done and what's going on, what they're doing here local-ish. I don't know how far away you actually are, but Logan, come on up here and share with what's going on. And I sprung it on her. She showed up and I was like, hey, you want to share about what you got going? Okay.
Thank you, Poppy.
That's for the online audience. Just hold it nice and close.
Okay. Bear with me. I'm not a speaker. I'm just me. And that's how I start everything I do, just me. So if I can do what I did with the people and groups that I'm involved with now, you guys can do it too. Every one of you, if you leave here and you go back and you just find some place where you can have a little get together, talk to neighbors, find out who they know, who they don't know, who they don't agree with, whatever, and say, I called my get together a Patriot Unite Night. I don't know why. It's a really dumb name, but it worked because it told people what I was doing right off the bat. I didn't want to deal. So I just went to my local Legion, and I actually had to take an officer position in the Legion because they're like, well, if you come and do this with us and help us out, and I'm helping them quite a bit as a volunteer. And I did that so I did not have to pay for the building because I wanted to keep the cost down. I didn't want anybody to have to pay for anything. I started out paying for it, but that's how it evolved to it costing me nothing. So I just want you to know that other things open as you go through this. I had a get together. I started out. I went to other groups that I knew were getting together in areas quite a ways from me, and they were asking who knew of another one coming up, and I said, well, I'm hosting one. I'm in a little town south of Kalamazoo, and so they were from all over, quite a ways away from there, but they all converged my first meeting and came to it. So I got those people all together, and they came from everywhere, from all different types of situations. Anyway, I'm just trying to give you an idea. I just went to somewhere and they mentioned who was having one. I was hosting one. I told them and they came. That was the first one. So I thought, okay, well, that was huge and that was great, but what are we going to do with this? So the local ones that I had invited kept coming, and then we kept growing from there. Um, I will say this, the reason I connected with a lot of them locally was because I took and put the civil peace flag in front of my house, and I hung it out there, and it's been there, and I get a lot of people stopping and a lot of people asking. If you don't know what that flag is, look it up. You need to know what it is. You need to look it up. I'm not going to tell you about it. You're going to look it up for yourself. And that's what you're going to find. Everything to do with this is you have to do research and you have to study and you have to make time. Whether you have it or not, I had zero time. You can't even imagine the stuff that I have going on. Zero time, and I made time anyway. But that's what it's going to take. It's time for we the people. And that's why I fell in love with this group and these guys, because I've known Bruce in the past and I met Lewis on the tour, but I've been watching the tours and watched the whole first one as much as I could. And then I went to the second one. I think that's where I actually met you. And then I've watched them ever since, hit and miss here and there. But I would have loved to have been doing something to help their tour and setting more things up. I wish I had. I didn't know this was coming up like it was coming, and I wish I had promoted it to other groups and people ahead. But I stopped having my meetings. My mistake, because they took me to a group. And as you said, everybody's not always going to agree. And when my group, when the people were there, I didn't know who was coming. There was no way to know. They just showed up because people wanted answers. People wanted to know more. People wanted to know what we could do. And I said, well, I don't know. Let's find out. So each of us had different time to talk and meet. I had food, things like that, so they could mingle. And then there was a gentleman from the national-assembly.net who was at my meeting, and he and his wife, and they were wonderful people. And they said, and I would highly suggest you look up that website, okay? Because they have real, true information on what to do after we can all come together. They teach you. There in that website, there's so much knowledge. If you just study what's in that website, you will know what you need to know to settle our counties and our states, and our country will be back. And that's all we have to do. And it sounds like a lot. It's not that much if you know what you're doing. I don't. Those people I was hoping to bring with me today, but that didn't work out. So we're going to reconnect on that. I think I'm going to try to get them at one of your other places, and we'll have a little more notice time. And I think we can make it work still. But it will come because it's unity. That's why I'm here. I believe in what these guys are doing, and I'm a part of all of that. And it's not about me. It's about all of us. It's just get people together. And I did go to my school board, and I turned my back on them, and I talked to the people that were there. And I was so proud of those young parents that showed up. I was really not happy to see that not very many grandparents were there, because they should have been there jumping their shit. But we did make a difference, and we will change the school boards. I know in my village alone that needs to go. So there's a lot of change that needs to be made in a lot of places. But you have to do it right, and you have to know how. And if it's not done right, it won't happen. And it's not, you think everything's, oh, it's going to flip. It's going to flip. It's going to happen. No, it isn't going to happen until we do things right. And when it's done properly and lawfully, it's going to make all the difference. But you have to educate yourself to be able to do that. I'm still in the process. In fact, I'm leaving to go do that this afternoon as soon as I leave here. So I will be studying with some people there. I don't know. Is there anything in particular? Okay. Thank
Awesome
you.
job. Yeah. It's doing the work, right? The enemy relies upon our ignorance, right? So we have to learn and learn something new, something different, get out of our comfort zone. It might be a little uncomfortable, a little weird doing something, but by taking that first step, you're going to gain confidence, and it's going to become easier and easier and easier. So thank you, Logan. Next up, we have another local person, Sharon. Sharon, you're going to come up and share quickly. She 10 minutes, yeah.
Talk about stories. He said no hot tub for you that don't know. I don't get much rest and relaxation, and if I do, I find a way to work at the same time. So I have a jacuzzi at home that I built a table that goes over it. I put my laptop and I work. I've literally written some of our documentaries that you watched from the hot tub. And my wife's like, I think my record was 7.5 hours straight. I know, it's crazy. So that's why the hot tub reference, because a couple times I've gone online, I just said, F it. Hey guys, how you doing? Here I am. And I guess that brings me to probably what I think the most important thing is. The highest vibration that we can possibly achieve is authenticity. It's not even close. If you can be authentic, you can connect with people on a level that's just unimaginable. So, yeah, authentic. Bruce is about as authentic as it gets, and that's why I think we have such a great connection. It's kind of cute too. Every time I try to make him turn red, he's pretty good though. I think it only happens like 1 out of 8 to 10 times. So, anyways, today I'm very happy, and I'm extraordinarily happy to be here because it's early, it's cold, it's a Saturday, and a bunch of you showed up. So congratulations on that. That's awesome. So, and yes, we always want more to show up. We could always look at it and go, oh God, there's just not very many people here. You know what I mean? But the reality is some places we've been where there's been a lot less, and then some places when there's been a lot more. But I would say during a morning meeting, this is the most we've gotten during a morning meeting outside, which was kind of a test for us. We were wondering, when you put people in the elements, are they willing to show up for their country? Clearly you are, which is a great sign. A lot of things that were spoken here are just phenomenal. I mean, we started off with the lovely Logan, and she was talking about the inspiration to form a patriot group and how on her own, being authentic, she created a great patriot group, and then now she can literally take it to the fake GOP. Do we understand there's a fake GOP and there's a real GOP? There's a GOP that's completely corrupt and sold out, right? And pretend to have your value set, and when it comes time, they do exactly the opposite. And then there's a GOP that is actually trying to do the right thing, right? It's hard to discern the difference between the two because they don't always show their colors until the last second, do they? What if there was no GOP? What if there's no Democrat Party? What if there's no Republican Party whatsoever? Isn't that the way it's supposed to be? So when I say the baddies have created this political construct, right, which is an illusion, just so you're very clear, and we buy into it. I'm sure many people in here have gone into a ballot one time in the past. Oh, just vote red. It's R all down the road. We know the D's always vote D. They never veer off of the D's, right? So they always vote Democrat all the way down. So they're completely in the matrix. The Republicans that think they're awake are truly not awake because we're still looking at the party as the principal. It's not. I'm going to tell you right now that the Democratic Party will be completely eliminated within the next couple of years. It'll be gone. And the Republican Party is going to follow because people are starting to see that the red and blue is purely a division. The R and the D is purely a division. And the division is the Freemason construct, right? To keep us divided on purpose. Nothing is black and white like that. But a lot of things have a whole hue of colors in between. And do we really want to be lockstep, everybody? How boring would that be if we all had the exact same value set, right? Wouldn't make any sense. So they need the black and white division, but there's a whole hue of colors in the middle, right? And that's the fun part. That's the beautiful part. And that's where the baddies are trying to keep us away. They're trying to keep us completely distracted, because what happens is when we resonate at the highest possible level that we can, we get to see all those colors. If they keep our pineal gland crushed, calcified, disrupted, right? If they keep us busy all day long in what I call the Rockefeller realm, where you work your 8 to 5 job, and I'm so happy I get a weekend. How many people say, oh, it's Friday. Oh, I'm excited because I get Saturday and Sunday off. You're still in the matrix if that's your thought process. That's the illusion. They want you to be so excited about what they gave you. They give you a weekend off. Fuck that. I'm just saying. Are you kidding me? This is why everybody should be independent business owners. So what do you think's next? what's next is going to be a massive financial collapse, which you should all be absolutely excited about. You should be thrilled that that's going to happen, because there's a couple of things that are going to happen. When all the people that are asleep go to their bank and they can't take their money out, they're going to come to you and go, what the hell's going on here? Right? And you are put on God's green earth for this moment in time. This is why it's biblical. You're here to explain to them, well, you're not here to say, well, I told you so. No, you're here to open up your arms, give them a hug, and say, let's have a talk. Let me tell you what's really been going on in the background. We have to have a financial collapse, in my opinion, so we have something to rebuild. You have to tear it down in order to rebuild it properly. I believe that's the structure of what's happening. Do you think real estate values are where they should be actually? It may have been a win for some people, and I don't want to hurt your feelings. I know if you went from 400,000 to 600,000 and then you sold it and did great, or you cashed in because you refinanced, oh, look at, I have all this cool stuff. They're still not where they're supposed to be, right? So you're going to have a cash crash, you're going to have a real estate crash, and you're going to have a stock market crash. I'm not going to predict which one's going to go first, but one will affect the other two. And it's going to happen. So number one, you got to be prepared. Number two, though, I would embrace it, because what's on the other side is where we need to be. And this is an opportunity for we, the people, to rebuild everything in God's image, not this satanic realm that we've been living upon, right? So I'm so excited about the speakers, because you have Logan, she's like, let's get together, and she's proof that we can do this, right? And then Sharon, by the way, your food was amazing. Sharon had everything set up for us, and between me on the road and breakdowns and not reading the emails properly, and my wife kind of saying, read this one, oh wait, not that one, and we got it all confused, right? She had everything set up for us. Turned out we weren't available for any of it, and she cooked the food last night for dinner for us, right? We're supposed to stay at her place. I was completely oblivious of this stuff. She ended up saying, bring it to you. We had dinner breakfast, is what we called it, right? I'm talking about amazing food, all fresh off the farm, extraordinary. I told her the only time I've had that in the recent history is well south into Mexico, when I've actually had real food. It's crazy, because we're being attacked on every possible level. One of the levels is that. So Sharon spoke of that, and much, much more. And then Carla spoke about, obviously, the property tax. Now, who here believes that the main reason for property tax is so they can fill their pockets with money and do whatever they want? No, that's not the main reason. It's absolutely about control. It's 100% about control. They can print their money. They can find money everywhere. They can tax you anywhere they want. But when they tax your property, okay, so here's the big goal. She mentioned the entities like BlackRock, Vanguard, State Street. Yes, that's all true. But they're in collusion, right, with as you would know, the corporations, not different corporations, by the way. You have your political corporation, and you have what we call our corporations, right? Again, another delusion, so we don't look at the true corporation like DC and so on and so forth. So what happens, though, is what they're doing is they're building it up, and they're just sitting in wait. So the idea is, anytime these baddies want, they will increase your property taxes 2 to 3 times in 1 year. Are you ready for it? 2 to 3 times in 1 year, because their goal is to completely get rid of everybody owning property. And these companies will be right there. I've heard many, many, many cases, by the way, where somehow there's a foreclosure that nobody hears about, and it wasn't public, and that property got purchased immediately by a corporation. Chinese corporations. That's a true story, right? By law, even if it's foreclosed, it's supposed to be public, and you have to have opportunity. But no. They come right in, and there's a private bidder, and it's done immediately. They change the time, so they put it public. Like, okay, it'll be at 10 o'clock. Oh, we forgot to tell you it was actually at 8. They already bought it. So crazy stuff. So the goal is that the baddies want to get all the property, and then we are a renter society, and then we're completely 100% controlled, game over. So she's right. Property tax is a huge, huge, huge issue. I just don't want you to think it's about money. They can find, yeah. If they're all they're doing is recycling their own money, just so you're very clear. That's what they're doing. They're always recycling their own money. But what they do is they use the need for money as an excuse to control you and drain you. Money's never been an issue ever for the cabal. Never. So the fact of, oh, we got to get the budget and the government and the state budget, it's all horseshit. It doesn't matter, right? What matters is they don't get to tax you. That's what matters. So property tax is a great first start for sure. If they want to do a tax, fantastic. Do it. Make it a consumption tax. So at least you opt in every time that there's going to be a charge. And then guess what's going to happen when they do a consumption tax? Because Americans are pretty smart, right? We're just going to barter. so it won't matter anyways, right? So the solutions are all very, very simple. And if it's simple, it's God work. The reason why it's so complicated, the reason why you have anybody even tried to read the opt-in on the terms and conditions and guidelines on anything online whatsoever? Right? Whoosh. Right? So the key is, by the way, we need to get one court case, and honestly, we'll have a separate talk about the legal and lawful and how they could work together to transition into common law. It's a long conversation, but there's a way they can do it together. I'm talking to a lot of common law folks about it. But the key is, if you get one court case that actually gets approved, where they say no, there's no way a person can be expected to sign those guidelines because it's too robust. You only need one. It's used as precedence, and then all those guidelines are gone. They're null and void. They don't matter anymore, right? But that's a whole nother story. So I'm loving everything that we're hearing about, but ultimately it comes back to one thing, and one thing. How are we going to break the illusion? We have to first realize that we hold all the power. When I say all of it, I mean absolutely 100% all of the power. We hold it. The challenge is we are under this veil that they are in love with. Bruce always says is President Trump is Toto, and he pulled back the curtain, right? That's exactly right, because there's this curtain in front of us that we think we're all powerful and almighty and so on and so forth. No, it's absolutely horseshit. If you don't like what a police officer does, you need to stamp in his face and say, no, we don't take it anymore. Back down, where they're like, whoa. Because ultimately, bullies are what? Cowards, right? That's a facade they're putting because they have some insecurities that they overcome, so they have to bully you. Same thing with political officials. Same thing with, believe it or not, large corporations. We've shown time and time and time again that if you boycott a large corporation on earth, they do it your way. So what does it come down to? It comes down to, first, the realization that we hold all the power. Then it comes down to number two, is we need to organize together. How do we do that? It's tough. And it's really tough because you're trying to break through that illusion that things are okay or we can't do anything. Extraordinarily tough. So the first thing you do is stop truth barfing on people. I'm telling you, I've seen it time and time again. If you say, okay, let me tell you what the problem is. Well, so you could tell the whole story about the property tax. I just said, oh, it's about complete control, blah, blah, blah. That's satanic matrix. And George Bush in 9/11, he was underground and he was finding out the gold and they were pushing them like this. And I can't believe everybody's taking adrenochrome and right? And they're like, I'll see you 5 years from now. Right? You lost them. Is everything I said true? Except I'm sure Bush wasn't personally moving the gold under 9/11, right? But everything I said is true. So we need to be better And we need to acclimate people to the truth. And how do you do that? It's fairly simple. You have to have trust. I put my trust in the Lord. And that means I plant a seed and walk away. The Lord's going to water it and fertilize it for you. And it'll come around. With the patience that I've learned to develop with this, I'm blown away at how many people start coming back. Remember what you said. Remember what you said. Because I learned something in sales a long time ago, and I've trained thousands of salespeople nationwide. When you make it more important to them than you make it to yourself, you have a sale. When you love somebody, you have a sale. Because you care about what they need. So what you need to do is you need to speak to people where they are, not where you want them to be. If we can take a deep breath and have patience and just understand those principles, wow, you're going to be shocked at how many people come around so fast. And just understand, guys, the last people that are going to come to you and say you had it right are the people closest to you. Their ego just won't allow it. And that's okay, because you're making a difference someplace else. And I can guarantee you, even if they're starting to learn, what's this adrenochrome? Oh my Lord, this is crazy. They're not going to come to you first. They're going to tell all their friends as if it was their idea, right? Look what I found. Don't worry about it. Take our egos out of it. It doesn't matter what anybody thinks, right? It doesn't matter what anybody thinks about me. Certainly it doesn't, because I left all my clothes in the other RV. Certainly it doesn't matter what anybody thinks. Yes, we are. I have to go get me some. Every pair of jeans I own are literally, and a whole bunch of other clothes are in the other RV. So I've got a very small jacket on me. Good thing it shows off my biceps, right? So anyways, we just have to have fun also, guys. We have to understand keeping our vibration is very high. Is the fear-based cabal cannot operate with inside of love and high vibration. They can't do it. So no matter how bleak things are, it's our job to put the best face on it possible and move forward in strength. Let me just go into really quick what Christine brought up. I know what I'm talking about. But she's right. She's right. There's an app that we're building a lot of time in, over a year now, right? Called Freedom in Action. It's free. Everything we do is free. So you don't have to worry. We're not trying to scrape any money from you. But what it is about, and I'm very proud of it, is it's an aspect of geo-targeting. What geo-targeting means in the technological terms is, for example, you put your information in and your zip code. By the way, this is all private. It's not public. Nobody's going to see your zip code. And I'm assuming you would use whatever type of name you would use on social media. So if you want them to know your name, they know your name. If you don't, they don't, right? You could be I'm We the People, whatever it is. But you put in your zip code, whatever the zip code is here, and people can geo-target within 10 to 4,000 miles, conversations going on in those areas that they put their zip code in. How cool is that? So now you're suddenly not on an island. You're like, wow, there's actually people that think the way I think within this area. Pretty cool, right? So that's the geo-targeting aspect. Involved in that, I have a second tab on there that's called events. That works exactly the same way. So if you have any events going on, even if you want to go hold a school board accountable, how cool would it be to say, here's a school board, here's what they're talking about. We need to show up in force. Geo-target, I'm willing to travel 50 miles for that, right? Boom, you show up there together. This is a game changer. Now, we need hundreds of thousands of people to get on there, and everybody has to get the word out, right? And there's a secondary aspect of this that I kind of stumbled on when I'm working with the technician, and I noticed that we have it's date and time stamped. So I said, how cool during the election. By the way, you can post pictures on there and videos, which is cool, right? Great way to communicate. You know, that's how Facebook got it right. But I'm sorry, DARPA got it right. I'm sorry, CIA got it right. And I'm sorry, 13 Families got it right. I'm sorry, Satan got it right. I mean, really, if you reverse engineer it, it always goes back to the by one entity, right? So, but here's what's cool. It geo-targets I'm sorry, time and date stamps. So imagine Michigan, where else, right? You see people bringing in 500 ballots at a time, right? Snap a picture, right? Put the precinct number where this has happened. It's live. All these, putting papers up. You can't look in the windows. You're standing more than 30 feet away. They're doing shenanigans. Look at, they're changing stuff. Oh my God, those ballots appear to be fake. Whatever you find, you put it all in there because it time and date stamps it, right? Everybody can see it live, but that's not even the big deal. The big deal is now you have a book of evidence that's keyed and logged specifically when and where these incidents happen. Can you imagine if we had this in 2020 and people were aware of it? I don't care how corrupt they are. It would have been like this, just flooding them. Here you go. You say nothing happened, boom, right? So I'm hoping that millions can get on here in time for November 5th, so that we all have to put the word out on how important this app is. We'll make a video about it. It'll probably get taken off of Google, and it'll probably be taken off of iStore, but it's okay. We know that already, so we're going to have a special link on our websites, and many other patriots will have it on their websites too. You just click on it and re-download it, right? So not a big deal. We're going to overcome them. Like Christine said, I have redundant servers and backups and everything. I'm proud to say that I'm the #1 hate group now in the Southern Poverty Law Center, right? Yeah, they have a bank of over $500 million that they can come out and attack anybody that they want to attack them. If we have a correct ideology and they have their satanic ideology, and everybody they have listed just has one listing, and I'm pretty proud to say we have 3. So screw Big Gov, Truth Tour. So they haven't figured out about the Unity Tour yet. That's good, right? And Freedom in Action, right? Because we're completely a hate group. Everybody, let me just be clear so you can get this soundbite. I'm an anti-Semite. Go clip, put that all over the place, right? I'm a misogynist. Make sure we put that one on there, right? And I really hate it. I hate America. Okay, they got all their sound bites now, so they can go roll with it. It's crazy. So what they do with things like that also, it's a dog whistle because they have hundreds and thousands of people nationwide and worldwide. When they go to the hate map and the things on the website, they go, oh, so that's who we have to watch for. And when they see him, and that's when they'll turn you in for community guidelines and all this. So we virtually cannot get the word out. No, it's literally crazy. It doesn't matter how large our platforms get, we just can't get the word out. So it's always up to you. If anybody shows up to this, they've usually found me on somebody else's program or somebody else told them, or they just happen to be watching our news. So I'm not asking you, I'm not telling you to help us out. I'm just letting you know. So if you wonder why we can't get the word out, because we have $500 million bank account that's looking after us in a bad way. So it's okay, because that just means we are over the target. So good. I mean, like Bruce says, we created the Unity Tour before Trump, Tulsi Gabbard, and RFK Jr. declared unity. So works out. So last but not least, we're also very blessed. It seems like a lot of whistleblowers are coming our way lately. And I consider that a blessing, not a curse, because that means they trust that we honor their information, and we're going to do our best to get it out there. A great example would be, if anybody doesn't know, I think should be the biggest story in the nation right now, about Deputy Chief Sean Taylor from Millersville, Tennessee. So that looks like it's over $1 trillion in evidence of corruption. Yeah, they're going after him. We're moving him all over the place right now. He's got Navy SEALs protecting him, so it's a big deal. So a lot of stuff. We have another whistleblower thing that's coming up. I'm not going to say who's connected to it, but I will tell you it goes all the way to the top, from the good guys that we're getting the information from. So God is with us. He's traveling with us. It doesn't matter how many breakdowns we have. We've absolutely got this, folks. I wasn't too eloquent in my speech today because I thought it was more about bullet points, which are important here and there. I just want to tell you that I truly, when I say this, I say this from the bottom of the heart. I'm looking at the heroes right now. I'm looking at the people, the real history books are going to be written about in the future. because you stood up when nobody else could. So I think you should thank yourselves. Thank you.
All right. The delinquent little child in me was really struggling to not just shank him right there. It was, no. So yeah, just in kind of closing, a couple of things. It's time for us to start working on ourselves and wake up more lions. You know, let the sheep just watch what we do, and you lead by example. They'll come along. The Mark Twain, I don't know why, but the Mark Twain quote just popped in my head. It's easier to convince, or it's easier to fool somebody than to convince them they've been fooled. So sometimes we feel like we're beating a head against, oh, can't you see it? Can't you see it? Can't you see it? You know, it's a spiritual thing. There's a blindness, the scales on the eyes, the veil, whole thing. That is true. And some people that's thicker than others, right? So we can't get caught up and worry about this person's not, buying in and picking up what I'm putting down type of thing. We just be the best humans we can be. We can do a CNN on them, right? You just be the happiest man, just the most excited, positive person. Everything around you is burning like that CNN reporter. It's a mostly peaceful protest, and there's flames just practically singeing his hair. We need to be like that. Just be positive. And people are like, "What? Why are you like? What's wrong with you?" I'm just happy, man. We live in that. That's part of the unity thing. As I was studying unity, it's a divine concept, and getting us connected in the collective consciousness at that high vibration, hope, love, compassion, empathy, authenticity, all these, if we could work, because it's a battle minute by minute sometimes to stay within that love bubble, as Mike Jaco calls it, to stay in that area. But we can, if we stay there, the connectedness of, even though the distance and the difference in ideologies and all these different things, they go away. We become more powerful as a unit than we are as individuals. So I'm super excited that we're here. Quick promotion. Anybody here or online, coming up, the grand finale in October 5th in Tampa is going to be epic, off the chain, world, 25 plus speakers. It's a free from 10 a.m. till 7 at night. All the speakers coming, sharing in their different visions and unity and what we can do and how we do. Then afterwards, we're going to have a grand finale after party, a big celebration, a band coming in, food, dancing, just a fun night of celebration and fellowship. There's a small charge for that, $33. Like, you can go online onto the website unitytour.us, get registered for that, just to help pay for the band and food and stuff like that. But it's going to be crazy. So if anybody can get to Tampa on October 5th, it's a Saturday, you will not be disappointed. And then also, anybody here bought any silver, gold in the last few years? Yep. So there's tons of companies doing that. There's many choices, right? So, but we need to do our research and put our money, because those are the two things we have complete 100% control in charge of, is our time, where we spend and invest our time, and where we spend and invest our money. Those are things that I can control, right? There's a lot of stuff I'm not in control of. So if I can control where I spend my money. So being that there's many companies, and a lot of them are good, a couple, I don't know, may not be so good, but do your research. That's all I'm saying, right? Investigate, check out veritymetals.com, veritymetals.com. Their sponsor. I started to point to Esther the RV because I'm still missing my Esther. But Matt Geiger with Verity Metals is this top quality, authentic dude. He's a part of us. He's 100%. He's just not about selling shit, and making money. If he can direct you someplace, if he can't provide you this product or service you need, he will direct you someplace else, right? He wants the best for things moving. But we got a long road to hoe. So we got to just change that mindset. This is a marathon, not a sprint, right? And it doesn't matter what happened yesterday. Today, right now, this very second is the first day of the rest of your life. You could have been a freaking idiot yesterday. It doesn't matter. Screw everything up. Everything you touch turns to dust. Don't worry about that. The past doesn't matter. Right now is all we got. Don't worry about what might happen in the future. Be aware of what and be prepared, right? You got to have food and what. Even the guy in front of Congress, the other day, FBI whistleblower, said you want to make sure you have plenty of lead, some freedom seeds, food, water. He said this in front of Congress the other day. And if you're leery or apprehensive about voting in the fake bullshit system we need still to do that. We need to vote more. So I appreciate all the people's attention here today. Michigan, we're here with you, right? We're going to be heading to, I think, Ohio this afternoon. But we're with you. Continue to follow us. If you're screwbiggov.com, it's the super easiest way to find all the information, all the different channels, all the different websites when the app is going to be released, very, very soon. So, keep fighting the good fight, right? We got this. I'll close with this. Light is undefeated against darkness. Because it cannot exist in the same place.